To this now, the trial of 5 men accused of killing Senzo Meyiwa continues in the Pretoria High Court. Forensic Officer Thabo Masiya, who collected evidence from the crime scene, is on the witness stand. All of the men accused of the 2014 murder of the former Orlando Pirates goalkeeper have pleaded not guilty. eNCA Slindelo Masikane is covering the story for us and joins us now. Good morning, Slindelo. Must be a very interesting day in court yet again today. What are we expecting?
It's definitely going to be yet another interesting day here in the North Gauteng High Court, where we are going to see the continuation of the cross-examination of Sergeant Thabo Masiya. Cross-examination began in earnest last month before the trial was adjourned to the date, which was yesterday. And unfortunately, we dealt with many side issues, in particular one of the presence of the 1010 Films production company commissioned to produce a Netflix documentary. Most of the court day yesterday was filled with hearing submissions from the defense as to why they want them removed, but ultimately the judge ruling that he cannot kick them out without a formal application by the defense. So today we see that cross-examination of Masiya continuing. It started 45 minutes of court time left yesterday, and what we saw was the defense then introducing an alternative affidavit in terms of an alternative case that was being investigated back in 2019. This is 4 years after the murder of Meyiwa. What we understand is that the men who are facing the charges of murder, in particular to this trial, is in connection to a docket which is numbered 636. The defense has now introduced an affidavit in connection with another case which is numbered 375. And in this docket, what we understand is that the police were then investigating a defeating the ends of justice charge for those who were inside the house on the night Meyiwa was killed. We know that so far during cross-examination, Masiya has been quite adamant in telling the court that he doesn't believe that the crime scene was contaminated. But the defense is saying that they believe it was, and is now starting to introduce evidence to that effect. In this affidavit, we understand is that Masiya actually does concede that there is a possibility that the crime scene was contaminated, given the amount of time that had gone by between the time Meyiwa was shot and the time that he was called and arrived on the crime scene. There's about a 4-hour gap between that, and the defense has been quite critical in having Masiya explain in detail as to when he arrived, what he found when he arrived there, even putting it to him that they believe that the crime scene was staged.
Just to take you back, Slindelo, to the 1010 film ruling there, if we can call it even that. I mean, is this not a similar situation to that of Magdalene Munsami, who was on a watch-on brief for Kelly Khumalo? Are the circumstances not the same here? Although I know that she was ejected, she wasn't allowed to continue to remain in court.
I think the situation is a bit different when it comes to 1010 Films, because they are a media house, a production house that applied, like all of us who are in here representing the media, to be able to film and broadcast these proceedings. They put in their application back in April, as we all did, for all of us here who have cameras inside court. And so for the defense to actually have 1010 Films and their camera crew ejected from the courtroom, they would have had to file a formal application in terms of the Criminal Procedure Act and bring evidence as to why they believe that their presence inside court would ultimately then affect the administration of justice.
So in the instance then of Magdalene, they would have not needed a formal application to have her remain in court. It could have been discussed as it was, that Advocate Tefu had stated that they are very uncomfortable, as well as his suspects. So in that instance, you're saying that they wouldn't have needed an application for that one. Am I correct?
From what we understand and what transpired is that multiple conversations took place between the defense as well as Magdalene Monsami and the state in chambers with the judge with regards to her presence in court. The defense had raised concerns saying that Kelu Khumalo is a potential witness in this matter, and it would be quite bizarre, according to them, to have for her to have a lawyer in here basically being her eyes and ears, who's going to go back and tell her what kind of evidence is being presented in court. We still at this point don't know who the state is going to call as their witnesses. All we know is that there are over 100 witnesses that are on a witness list. Some are actually under witness protection, and Kelu Khumalo, being someone who was actually at the crime scene there at the time of the commission of the crime, one would imagine that she is a potential witness, and if the state doesn't call her, then that opens up the defense to also be able to call her as a witness.
Oh, all right. And then what time do we expect court to commence today? Will it be at 10 o'clock or any time now?
Well, from what we understand, today we will have court proceedings starting at around 10 a.m. You can see, I'm going to ask my colleague Joe Matlala to just give you a pan of the courtroom. At this point, we do see one of the state prosecutors already seated. Advocate Zandile Mshololo for accused number 5 is also here. We're just now awaiting what it looks like Advocate Malisa Latefo for accused 1 to 4. I see Barry Bateman here, who does come from AfriForum's private prosecutions unit that does represent the Meyiwa family, and just behind them you will see that there's a screen that's been set up. That screen, we understand, was requested by Advocate Mshololo for accused number 5. She wants to be able to refer to the evidence and had requested that screen to be put inside court. I do see now that instructing attorney Titi Tobane has also made his way inside the courtroom. So of course it does seem as though we will be on schedule to start proceedings at 10 a.m. The accused should be coming up from holding cells any moment from now as well.
All right, Sindelo, we'll catch up with you at 10 then when court is in fact in session. That's our reporter Sindelo Masikane out at the Senzo Meyiwa case for us.